Welcome to Ignorance Unleashed with your host, Salvatore Cavalieri. Just 10 minutes devoid no-nonsense insights with a touch of humor and absurdity, approved by his psychiatrist and wife because they agree he needs this outlet.
Hey. Okay, so it is very important as an investor to find out what are the economic factors that you need to look at when you're going to purchase a property. Okay, so you just don't go blindly. So you just wake up, you had your coffee, and then you go and buy a property. No, it requires a research. Okay, so it's extremely important that, remember, the cash flow is pretty cool, but it's not everything, because you can have a property that has cash flow, but it's not appreciating in value. Then what? When the property gets older, from where are you going to get the money? From your pocket or from the cash flow? So the cash flow gets blown. So it's extremely important that the value of the property goes up. Okay, so as it goes up, you can use that money, to pull out and buy other things. You can use that money to reinvest in the property and increase rents. Okay, so you can do a lot of good things. So just the premise that cash flow is everything, it is a fallacy. It is a big pair of nothing. Okay, so don't go for it completely. So you need to have both. You have to buy the property. Sometimes maybe negative the cash flow at the beginning because it is managed currently. Okay, that's an opportunity. Maybe the property has been a little bit neglected. That's an opportunity. So you need to pick on those opportunities and being able to pick up good properties. Okay, so you have the cash flow, positive or negative. If it is negative, you have to have a plan to put it into the positive in a short term period, and then, of course, equity appreciation. Equity, be a sniper, snipe to that specific zip code that is going to make you go up in value. That's going to make the property go up in value, and then you're going to have a nice sandwich: cash flow, equity appreciation, and then, of course, you have a profitable property that you can leverage from, that you can, get money from for the next thing. Okay, maybe sell and do 1031 exchange. Okay, so you have a variety of things. So I'm going to show you the 12 economic factors that you need to look for, okay, when you're searching for that property. So let's start with a very macro. Macro is the United States. Then you have regions of the country. That's macro too. You have the eastern, the middle, mountains, and then you have the west coast, and then even the islands we have. Okay, then we go, regions. Now, states. With state, one of the first things I look in a state is how friendly or unfriendly are the laws regarding renting. There are some states in the United States that they look socialist, communist places, where practically the landlord it is held hostage by the tenant. That is not fair. I think that fair transaction here will be both of them have rights and also have things that they need to do. Okay, responsibilities and rights. It has to be a balance there. Okay. With that said, I'm going to show you that, but wait for it. Okay. So what are the 12 factors that we looked for? So state, you got to make sure that the laws of that state are fair to both sides, in that you have, the rules of the game. Okay. So if you don't, and if you're interested, let's say in Florida or Georgia, contact an attorney that does this for a living, tenancy, landlord laws. Talk to them and figure what the laws are. Okay, got it. Or partner up with a property manager that does work already in the location. Probably that will be a good starting point. Okay, so now that you know that you're going to do this, let's say Florida, and now you're going to say, well, okay, Florida's pretty big and long, by the way. I might do this in the southern part, in the central part, or in the northern part of the state. Very different. In the northern part, you have the eastern side, and then you have the west side of the state. The state is super wide on the panhandle. Very different. Very different is Jacksonville than Panama Beach on the other extremes. Extremely different. Okay. Now, with that said, then you say, well, okay, I'm going to locate myself in Orlando. Okay, Orlando has cities in it. So it's going to be Winter Park. It's going to be Castleberry. It's going to be St. Cloud. It's going to be around the parks, where? That's where the zip code comes into place. Because if you know what the history of the zip code has been, you know what has happened in the past, especially through recessions, how solid was that zip code during recessions. And it's unbelievable. I'm going to have another video where I'm going to show, through time, certain zip codes, how much they have been resilient or not to crisis. Because the game of real estate is not looking for the next shiny stuff that you just go and buy. You stay 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, and then you switch it, and like flippers. By the way, talking about flippers, yesterday, before yesterday, I got another text from a flipper looking for deals. The guy has never called me, has never contacted me. He is dead on water, because if you want to establish a relationship with a real estate agent that is going to help you finding out the next property, man, pick up the fucking phone, damn it, and establish a relationship. Okay, in my case, don't call me, really. Okay, save your time. And this guy, text out of the blue, anyway, is here somewhere. Hey, I'm looking for the next thing, send it to me, blah 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 blah. Oh, anyway, okay, so economic factors. I got distracted for a few seconds. So country, regions, state, northern, central, south of state. Then zip codes, cities and zip codes. Okay, now you're going to study different zip codes, and you're going to say, well, does this zip code has all the elements needed for that? So today I'm going to briefly go over the 12, and then I'm going to have subsequent videos that I'm going to show and explain one by one each of those. So today I'm going to be on the light side of the explanation. So let me share here. All right, there you go. So those are the 12 economic factors that you need to look at when you are going to select a specific area for where you're going to put this long-term investment. Remember, real estate is not a game that you play short-term. Okay, so these are the 12 good paying jobs, meaning is not only going to be the service industry there. Let's say, for example, there are jobs in a sandwich shop, in a mechanic shop, and a title company, and I don't know, an attorney, or that kind of service oriented is not enough to be an area totally healthy. You have to have a variety of jobs, meaning you have to have enough in the medical field, you have to have a few in the distribution field, you have to have other in a small manufacturing, medium manufacturing. If you have research and development for some technology, even better. Okay, engineering, even better. Construction, even better. You have to have a variety of things going on. So if you went to a market and you see that is only one particular industry dominating there, if that industry goes into recession, and industries sometimes go into recession independently for the economy, maybe they follow the economy, and some of them are ahead of the economy. If they go into recession, you should be very careful if you want to invest in there, because all the eggs will be in one industry. Let's say is the hotel industry. Well, pretty nice. Orlando has hundreds of thousands of rooms, actually, I think it is. And what about if it goes in recession? Okay, if people say, you know what, I just don't want to spend that much in travel. I was going to spend a week, but I'm just going to do 3 nights. Right? So everybody suffers. So you need to think about a diverse economy. And Orlando already has a diverse economy going on. Okay, which we'll cover in another one. Highways. That was extremely important. You need to move in and out of an area. If the property is located in a no man's land that not even God goes over there, then the price appreciation of the property will be challenged. Okay, I have some real life examples of things being set up so far away that is unbelievable. Airports create a lot of jobs. Good paying jobs too. Okay, so You have an airport, and around the airport, you have other businesses and industries locating because they need to ship in and out stuff out of the country. So being near a large airport is important. There's a lot of smaller airports that represent somewhat impact positively into the economy. But if you are near a major airport, near, I mean, 15 miles, 20 miles per net, you are there really well. Ports are still important, not only for cargo in and out, but also for tourism and ships that they carry thousands of people, and those thousands of people are going to spend for services and products that they're going to buy and exchange, etc., besides hotel rooms. And besides, many tourists, when they come to the United States, they decide to buy an investment property. Okay? So it's very common. Okay, schools, next one. If you're going to have a property, you need to locate that property. The property needs to be located near good schools. Why? Because a good renter, will go to a specific area where the school is good, and then what do? They stay longer. Okay, so schools is very important. Okay, safety. Look at some states in the United States, especially in the West Coast, have been covered very negatively in the press for a reason, because people are fearing for their lives. So they're seeing that a lot of crime is going on, the values of the property is going down. So safety is something that it has to be looked very closely, because influences changes the price of the properties. Health and medicine, extremely important also to be the property of the zip code of the area where this investment is to be located near health and medicine. People get sick, people get into accidents. You need to have that. More on top of that, people in the health and the medicine, they do rent, not necessarily buy. They do rent. We have a few doctors that they rent. Why? Because sometimes they have a contract for a specific period of time, and they need to be 2 years in a certain location, and they get transferred. Fine. So health is extremely important for the growth of an area. Entertainment. Okay. The more entertainment an area has, that means that the families or the inhabitants of the city or zip code have more disposable income. If they have disposable income, they can afford to pay rent. Okay, so entertainment brings also families, brings also people that want to make that specific area home. If you work hard, you gotta play hard, like the saying says. Okay, natural factors, meaning, so yes, you worked, and then you did some entertainment, but maybe you want to go now into the rivers or creeks, or the beach, or maybe you want to take a nice trail, walk, bike. So that kind of stuff is also extremely important. There are people that have moved to Florida, and they have found that we have this, especially in Central Florida. Okay, we have a lot of this going on, and love it, and they stay. Population growth, that's the next one here. That's number 10. That's extremely important. If you see that the population is shrinking in a specific area, why would you put a property there? Because you think it's going to grow up later on. Once people vacate an area, it is typically for serious, endemic, systematic problems of the area. The most recent case is Detroit. That for years have been bleeding people out. Now there are some investors looking for the opportunity, and they're buying the property at very low prices, etc., etc. And look, I will pass on that. Okay, unless I see something really solid in terms of attracting a variety of jobs, infrastructure being built in highways, airports being expanded, ports. That doesn't have a port there. Okay, that I remember. Schools, what kind of schools do we have? Is this safe or not safe? Health and medicine, is more hospitals being built? Is entertainment, what is it there to go after? Is there natural factors over there that I can... So all this stuff has to be looked at if I'm going to invest again in Detroit. All of them have to check, or at least out of the 12, you have to have 9 or 8 or 9 at the minimum. So population is extremely important for equity appreciation. You don't have population growth, the price of the property will not. You may have cash flow, nice, but the property is getting older. It's not getting any younger. Okay, so extremely important population growth. Access to food and market. This is unbelievable. There's certain real estate being built so far away from a supermarket that if you forget your tomatoes to make this sauce, you are screwed. You cannot finish the tomato because it's 20 miles to go one way. There's a story about that. I will do that in another podcast, okay? And the last one, level of commercial and residential occupancies, meaning if you go to a location and you drive around and you see office buildings totally empty, that's a red flag. Okay? Because if a building is totally empty or partially empty, that means that for some reason, the local population is not finding attractive that location. Meaning prices are going to suffer. And the same thing with commercial. You go and you see empty shopping centers. Okay, I know that the internet has taken actually online purchasing has taken a lot of that business, but what happens is if you see those structures empty, that means that something is going on in that local area. Maybe you need to move away or look at it as an opportunity. Let's say, for example, you see a building and the building looks pretty nice, an office building, and maybe you can convert it. For example, this one, I converted this one, 38 units in Highlander Beach. This was a rental, but there was a need for affordable housing in that area. So I converted the rental to condominiums. And actually, I helped the city because some of their employees ended up living in there in a affordable fashion. So if you can strike a deal with the local authorities and say, hey guys, there's this building here that is producing nothing for anyone because it's empty. Help me to convert it. Let's run the paperwork. Let's do the analysis. Let's run the paperwork. Approve me the permits and all that. Help me with that. Then I will have affordable housing. Okay, so those are the 12 factors. You need to look at them very carefully before you invest.